Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Thank goodness it's Monday and I can talk sports again on Undisputed. I spent the entire weekend watching lots of replays of lots of classic games, and I kept turning to my wife, Ernestine, and saying, did you see what Michael Jordan did there? And did you see what LeBron did there? And she kept turning back to me and saying, save it for Shannon. Which is why it is now time once again to introduce my partner, Shannon Sharpe, from high atop his palatial estate, way up the hill from here in Bel Air. Good morning, Shannon Sharpe.
Good morning, Skip. How are you doing today?
I am so pumped up for this show because for the next 2 hours, my debate partner, Shannon Sharpe, and I are going to go at it over the best NFL free agent pickup, and I'm going to try to convince him it was obviously Tom Brady. And we're going to go at it over whether the Cowboys now deserve a top 10 free agency grade. That's what Pro Football Focus says. I can't wait for that. And also over why Kawhi Leonard, as a high school junior, declined an invitation from LeBron James to go up to his basketball camp in Akron. I can't wait for that. But as I mentioned, over the weekend, I watched lots of replays of lots of classic games. Michael Jordan scoring 69, a career high against the Cavaliers, and Michael Jordan scoring 54 against the Knicks in a playoff game in 1993. And I also forced myself to sit through a replay of the most painful game I ever watched. And that was Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Finals. You know what happened at the end of the game. And near the end of that replay, I tweeted this. Yeah, and it generated what I tweeted, 2.3 million impressions, which for me is a whole lot on Twitter. I tweeted, remember, if Ray Allen hadn't followed a LeBrick 3 to tie with the greatest clutch shot in NBA history, LeBron would now be 2-7 in the NBA Finals. 2-7 with an exclamation point. And he's the GOAT with 3 question marks? Stop it. So let's start it right here, right now. LeBron, let's go to Shannon Sharpe. How can you continue to try to convince me that LeBron is the GOAT?
It's easy. Because, Skip, here's the thing, is that when you judge great players and you say you give them the highest, you judge them the harshest. And you said they deserve to be judged the harshest because they're the best players, the greatest players in particular sport. What I don't understand is like when LeBron James struggle and wins, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady struggles and win, you mentioned the win. But LeBron struggles and win, all you mention is the struggle. You don't mention what he overcame. All you do is harp. Ray Allen saved his legacy. But I never hear you say it, that Adam Vinatieri and Malcolm Butler saved Tom Brady's legacy. I never heard you say John Paxson, and Steve Kerr saved Michael Jordan's legacy. It's always those guys. You failed to mention that in that Game 6, they started the fourth quarter down by 10 points. LeBron James scored 4 fewer points by himself than the entire San Antonio Spurs. He scored 16. They scored 20. They erased that 10-point deficit. Get it to overtime. He took the game over, but all you talk about is the shot. The shot would have been a moot point had LeBron James not been spectacular in the fourth quarter. But we won't mention that. Come to Game 7. Still now, Game 6 didn't win them that. They still had to win another game. In Game 7, he was 37-12-7, 37-12-8, if I'm not mistaken. Do you realize Ray Allen did not score a point in Game 7? Chris Bosh did not score a point in Game 7. Mike Miller, who started Game 7, did not score a point. You don't mention that. All you talk about is, well, if Ray Allen hadn't hit the shot. Skip, that's what having teammates is about. If LeBron wanted to be an individual guy, he'd have played golf or he'd have played tennis because Tiger doesn't have teammates. Serena doesn't have teammates. But in a team-oriented sport, a teammate doing his job is not saving someone's legacy. Oh, my bad. It is if your name is LeBron James. Skip, at some point in time, you got to stop this. All we do, Michael Jordan did go to the Wizards at the end of his career, but you want to disregard that. I want to know one thing, and I want to get you on the record. Whatever happens with Tom Brady this year, is that going to be on his career? Is that on his resume? Or are we disregarding it? I just need to know right now.
Yes, it's on his resume. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay, so that's on his resume, but the last 2 years of the Wizards isn't on Michael Jordan's resume. We're not going to talk about the 2 times that he took off. Skip, you know, to go to back-to-back finals, look at the toll that it took on the Golden State Warriors. They went to 5 straight. Can you imagine Michael trying to go to 6 straight, 8 straight, 9, 10 straight? You don't believe it would have taken a toll on him? Absolutely. And before I turn it over to you, Skip, I just want you to know, Michael Jordan is 6-0. Can't take that from him, nor would I attempt to. But I want to know, of the 6 teams that he beat, of the top 20 NBA Finals teams, where do they rank? And I tell you what I'll do. I'll take the 16, 17, and 17, 18 Golden State Warriors. I'll take the 07 Spurs. And I guarantee you, they'll be top 10 finals teams in the history, and nobody Jordan team beat will make the top 10. Therein lies the rub. You try to be slick, Skip Bayless.
Okay.
He beat the Knicks. Stop it.
My turn. Thank you very much. And I am slick, and I'm about to get slicker right here, right now. Let's start with all the big picture of this. Obviously, Michael Jordan, as you said, 6-0 in the finals with 6 finals MVPs. Michael Jordan won 10 scoring titles to 1 for LeBron James. Michael Jordan won the steals title 3 times. He led the league in steals 3 times to 0 for LeBron. Michael Jordan made first-team all-defense 9 times to LeBron 6. And Michael Jordan was a defensive player of the year, something LeBron has never done. Michael Jordan still 5 MVPs to 4 for LeBron. That could change if LeBron wins this year's. But as I keep pointing out to you, Michael Jordan played 82 games 9 times. LeBron finally played 82 a couple of years back. Michael Jordan played 80-plus games 11 or more times to LeBron's 3. So it's just boom, 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 all the way down to all the epic failures then that LeBron suffered that Michael never suffered. And let's go back, please, if we shall. No, you know what I'm going to do before I get to that Game 6? I told you I did watch the 69-point salvo against Cleveland by Michael Jordan and the 54 in the playoff game. And it was the Knicks, and that was football being played by Pat Riley's Knicks, and he managed 54 against them. You know what jumped out at me, Mr. Sharpe, in those games? That Michael Jordan developed a weapon that LeBron has never had. That's the mid-range pull-up jump shot. It can be a fadeaway or just a hanging J where he just hung in the air because we know Michael could leap. And he hung and just sort of sized it up, squared it up, and ripped it. That's the shot that he made, obviously, in Game 6 against Utah to win his last championship, a game I saw from courtside at Utah. But in the 69-point game, it wasn't a lot of attack the basket. It was mid-range jump shots. Boom, 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 boom. They just couldn't stop him because nobody could stop that. Now we're starting to see Kawhi Leonard develop just the same weapon. But LeBron's never had a mid-range jumper like that, which obviously elevates Michael above LeBron. But let's go back, shall we, to that Game 6. In fact, I watched the end of it again just this morning. I'm up here in my loft, and I can see my treadmill. It's only about 20 feet over there. And I was on my treadmill watching my TV, and I looked back at Game 6 at the end of it just to refresh my pained memory over what happened. And would you believe that at the end of that game, LeBron turned it over badly, uncharacteristically, an unforced error with 40 seconds left in the game, and then with 20 seconds left in the game, and then with about 15 seconds left in the game, he shoots an air ball 3, and they get it back on the offensive rebound, which he was lucky to do. Danny Green takes off cherry picking, thinking he's going to get a bunny layup. Mike Miller kicks it back to LeBron, and to LeBron's credit, on a second try, he made a 3 there, which cut the lead to 2. Then Kawhi, as we all know, made 1 free throw, but he actually missed the first free throw.
What? Michael Jordan missed a free throw?
So, yeah. No, Kawhi Leonard missed a free throw, but that's a whole nother. He's a baby. Then
he's the closest to Michael Jordan.
I'm going to give him that. Yeah, I got it. He is the closest jump shooter we've seen to Michael Jordan, although Kobe was right in that ballpark also. So then it comes down to the wire, and LeBron James does completely brick a three, long rebound out to Chris Bosh, who kicks in the corner to a Ray Allen. And just for the record, Ray Allen in that game had so far scored 2 total points. He had missed 2 threes. He was 0 of 2 from 3. And so it's one shot for LeBron's quote-unquote NBA Finals life, and he rips it from the corner to send it to overtime. Remember what had happened just the year before, well, it's 2 years before, 2011. LeBron had suffered the all-time meltdown in an NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. I've never seen anything like it. Up 2-1, and the chosen one became the frozen one in games 4, 5, and 6. Never seen a shrinkage like that from a superstar, a complete collapse the way we saw it from LeBron James. So now we go back to all the other epic meltdowns. I won't even mention that the Spurs swept him, because that happened to Jordan early in his career to great teams also. But remember what happened after he hit the shot from around the world? No.
Yes,
but again, LeBron was going through the Eastern Conference. I mean, it's just like a cakewalk. So we cakewalked through the least. I give you that. And yet we go back to that year against the Magic when he hit the shot heard around the world in game 2. Remember that? And then they actually went up 2-1, and then they fell apart again, right on schedule. LeBron shrank, and they lost games 4, 5, and 6 to the Magic. And that was when it was supposed to be LeBron versus Kobe in the finals. And then remember last go round in the first time around in Cleveland, what happened? The owner ended up accusing LeBron James of quitting in that it was the conference semifinal against Boston, games 4, 5, and 6, the dreaded games. LeBron just disappeared in those games leading up to the meltdown in the first go around with the Heat. Then the Ray Allen shot saved him. Then the Spurs blew LeBron off the floor by a record finals margin in 2014. And then, remember, he hit the wall in 2015. He had the Golden State Warriors down before they were the Warriors. It's 2-1 with game 4 in LeBron's house. In LeBron's house, you've got them 2-1. You could go up 3-1, and Iggy happened. Iggy inserted into the starting lineup. He outplayed LeBron in game 4 in LeBron's house, and the rest is finals history because LeBron was history. And I will never forget and never let LeBron get away with 2018. Remember, 2018, game 1 at Oracle. LeBron had one of the greatest games of his life, had a shot, a mid-range jump shot on Steph Curry that could have won the game at the end of the game, and he turns it down to pass the basketball. What? Really? You did that? And I get it. JR had the mental glitch and blunder, but then LeBron just quit on his team. He sat 5 seats over from his team before overtime and wouldn't shoot. He went into a big pout mode in overtime of that game and wouldn't shoot for the first 2.5 minutes, and they lost that game by 7. I just gave you a long list of epic meltdowns. You can't show me one from Michael Jordan. Not an epic meltdown like all those, the quit game. There are 2 quit games, actually. Come on, Shannon.
Here's the thing, though. If you look at LeBron, LeBron is 12 times first-team All-NBA. Michael Jordan has made it 11 times. LeBron has done it 11 consecutive times. So he's about to be 13 times because he has 12 on his resume. He will be first-team All-NBA this year, which will be 13, which has blown away everybody. He's been All-NBA 15 of the 16 seasons he's been in the NBA. Remind you, Skip, the year that he led the league in scoring, he was not first-team All-NBA. Think about this. A guy that's passed first is the 3rd all-time leading scorer. A guy that scored first is the 5th all-time leading scorer. Let that sink in for just a second. Now, you see, Skip, what you always try to do, you always try to say, well, if you're undefeated in the finals, that's the GOAT. Well, how does Tom Brady get to be the GOAT? He's lost 3 times in the finals. And 2 of those times, and even 2 of the times that he won, he wasn't the MVP. Huh? Julian Edelman. Is Julian Edelman going to the Hall of Fame? No. Is Branch. Is he going to the Hall of Deion Branch? Is he going to the Hall of Fame? No. So 2 other guys won the Super Bowl MVP on his watch. Eli Manning You have little to no respect for the Eli Manning. Now, you understand the family, what the lineage is, and that's football royalty. He took down Tom Brady. Nick Foles lost his job to Gardner Minshew, the guy that has a mullet and a stash. Really, Skip? And you want to lecture me about LeBron. Skip, see, in other words, what you're telling me, it would have been better for LeBron to fail before the finals, because we know Jordan had a lot of epic fails before the finals. You remember that double nickel, that 63-point game he had against the Celtics, Skip? That should have never happened. You know why? Because he missed the final shot in regulation, and he missed it again in overtime. But you don't mention that. Everybody talks about, oh, look at Michael, what he did. You talk about that, but why couldn't he beat the big three Celtics? You tell me GOAT players are supposed to topple great teams. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He should be able to beat the big three Celtics. He was supposed to be able to take down. Why couldn't he get past the Pistons? Why? Why must they got old? Why must they started breaking that team up before he could get past? I don't want to hear anything about no Jordan rules. Jordan shouldn't have rules. God doesn't have rules. He took time off on the 7th day because he wanted to rest. He worked all continuously for 6 days. So that's what you told me Jordan was. So I don't understand that, Skip. So in other words, if LeBron loses in the first round, we know Michael knows a lot about that. He's lost a lot in the first round, and not make it to the finals, he'd have been judged more favorably than losing in the finals? Tell me the guy, Skip, before I let you turn it back over to you. Tell me the guy that Jordan beat in the finals that's better than Kevin Durant, that's better than Tim Duncan, that's better than Steph Curry. I just want to know one guy that's better than those three guys that he beat.
Okay, I want to point out to our faithful viewers that Shannon Sharpe just had to reach for the name Gardner Minshew to try to win a debate of Jordan versus LeBron. It came to that. That's how far he had to reach and crawl for some other comparison. Yes. So, my turn. Thank you very much. Let's go back to Tom Brady. All he did was go to 9, or he's not finished yet. He has gone to 9 Super Bowls and won 6 of them, and should have won the 2 more of those, but 9 and 6. And the point is that the 6 came all with game-winning fourth-quarter drives. We've never seen anything like what Tom Brady has done in any other sport, and it's actually even beyond Michael Jordan. And those game-winning drives came with some punctuation mark field goals at the end of those games, thanks to the greatest field goal kicker ever, Adam Vinatieri. I give you that, but he also Tom Brady had to complete 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 passes in a row to set up Vinatieri with the game-winning field goal. You don't just snap your fingers and say, oh, it's our ball, let's kick a field goal. No, he's got to make a bunch of clutch passes to even set up a field goal. I don't like the field goal rule. You know how I feel about it, but it is part of football. And Brady did capitalize on it a couple of times. And he also, in the first game against Eli, threw what would have been another game-winning fourth-quarter drive touchdown pass to Randy Moss that should have won the game with 2 minutes left. And Bill Belichick's defense choked again against Eli Manning. I'm sorry, they just did. I'll give Eli the second game. That's the one game where Brady had one little off-target misfire, and Wes Welker should have still caught that ball. And then all Brady did against Nick Foles, who had the greatest quarterback run I think I've ever seen for a 3-game set, at least a 2-game conference championship and Super Bowl. And you agreed with me. You never seen anything quite like that. He was on fire. Yeah. And Nick Foles puts up 41 points against Belichick's 41 points? Are you kidding me? Against the GOAT coach? And Tom Brady throws for an all-time playoff record 505 and puts up a record for a Super Bowl loser, 33 points, and they lost the game because Belichick gave up 41. Is that Brady's fault? Stop it. Now, let's go back to Michael Jordan.
It was Brady's fault. He didn't get the ball. Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. All right. So Michael Jordan lost first to Boston Celtics teams. Those are Larry Bird teams. We're going to talk about Larry Bird here in a few minutes on the show. Larry Bird was obviously all-time great, and with Parrish and McHale and DJ and Ainge, That was one of the great teams in NBA history, one of the mentally toughest teams in NBA history. And it took Michael a while to grow up enough to get past the Celtics. Then he kept running into the bad boy Pistons for 3 straight years. And he won, they lost in 4 games, then 5 games, then 6 games. So he kept getting a little better, a little better, a little better. And he was up against what were called the Jordan Rules because Sam Smith had to write a book about it called the Jordan Rules because that's the only way the Pistons stopped Michael Jordan. Their whole game plan was we've got to beat him up and basically knock him out of this game for us to control him or at least contain him. And yet he finally broke through. Remember, those Piston teams went to 3 straight finals off beating Michael Jordan and won 2 out of the 3. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's pretty great. That's pretty hard to get past. But once he broke through, he went 6-0. And I'll give you the last couple of years in Washington were ugly. But remember, he took 3 years off. He quit on principle because his coach got fired, removed in place of Tim Floyd. And Phil Jackson went on to great things, as we well know. But Michael just said, I'm out. He took 3 years off and came back. He was out of shape. I'm canceling out those years. All I care about were the years I covered up through 1998 in Chicago. Sorry.
But Skip, but here's the thing. You keep saying Tom Brady had to complete those passes. What was the difference between Jim Kelly in the 90 Super Bowl completing passes and Scott Norwood missing that field goal and Tom Brady completing passes and Adam Vinatieri making it? Adam Vinatieri, there was nothing else he could do. Thank you. You make my point. So now it's up to Vinatieri.
No, I don't.
Vinatieri twice.
Okay.
Huh? Adam Vinatieri twice.
I give you that point.
Saved his legacy. No. Okay. And Malcolm Butler. So 3 of those, you keep saying he should win 2 more, but he could have lost 3 more, Skip. He could legitimately he could have 5 losses out of those 9. He could be 5-4 instead of 6-3. 4-5 instead of 6-3 easily. You make it seem like he just blew these teams away and there was no doubt in anybody's mind. Stop that. But I just want to know why. You keep saying the Boston Celtics was an all-time great team. Were the 17?
You don't think they were?
So, yeah, I do. But are you saying the Warriors with KD, Steph, Clay, and Draymond is not an all-time great team?
Okay, but remember, they weren't all-time great the first time they played LeBron. And I give you, LeBron had already lost Kevin Love and he lost Kyrie in overtime. But then he had the greatest stretch of 3 games I've ever seen him play. He put the Cavaliers on his back. And even I'm sitting back in awe of what LeBron did in games 1, 2, and 3. He had a little help in game 2 from Delhi. The Delhi was open in game 2. But then as we got to game 4 in LeBron's house, they're up 2-1. You got to do that. If you're Michael Jeffrey Jordan, you got to take that game over and make it 3-1 because the Warriors didn't think they were that great. They didn't have KD yet. I'm sorry. That was another epic failure by LeBron James.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. Let's name the finals that Michael Jordan would have won if he'd have lost Scottie Pippen. Remember, he couldn't get out of the first round without Scottie, let alone win a series. So I just want to know, name the series that he would have won without his second and third best players playing with him. Name the finals he would have won.
Who knows? I don't know. He probably would have won all of them knowing him because, remember, in game 6 at Utah, go ahead.
Hold up. How are you going to say he's going to win a finals when he can't even get out the first round without Scottie? But he's going to win the finals without Scottie. Really?
Okay. After he broke through and started winning finals and he psychologically dominated the whole league, he owned the NBA. I wouldn't put it past him to win without Scottie. And to your point, game 6, NBA Finals, 1998 at Utah. I covered the whole series.
Yeah.
Scottie Pippen had the flu. Scottie Pippen was almost doubtful to go in that game. He tried to go. He was about half of himself in that game. And Jordan willed them into the game, holding on. Jordan was the one who went in and stole the ball from Karl Malone over in the corner, snaked it from him, dribbled the ball up the floor.
Yeah, because Dennis Rodman. Rodman was occupying Karl Malone's attention, and Jordan snuck back after he followed Stockton through. He peeled back and took the ball. So don't make it seem like he just took the ball out of Mailman's hand.
Jordan led the league in steals 3 times. LeBron never led the league in steals. This is another attribute that just made him beyond great. It made him the GOAT. So he dribbles the ball up the floor, and flu-ridden Scottie Pippen is over on the wing. And I always tell you, this is the only piece of memorabilia I own. It's a picture of this from the far end zone. And Scottie's over on the wing like this, like, I'm open, give me the ball. And Michael's like, yeah, right. This is my game, my time, my turn, my shot. And Michael, little push off on Byron Russell, just a little push off. That's the way the game was played in those days. And he goes up with that mid-range jumper that I was oohing and awing about earlier in this show. He goes up and just hangs and holds the pose right there and rips it as clean as you can rip it, like this. And I've got the picture from the far end zone of the horrified looks on all the Jazz fans' faces where they're all like, ah! He did it to us again.
Skip.
And Jordan in the picture, still shot, is holding the pose. The ball is ripping through the twine, clean as a whistle, and it's game over. Bulls win the championship. There was little to no Scottie Pippen in that game.
No. But here's my thing, is that when you look at it, and Jordan is an all-time great defender, but he couldn't guard 1 through 5 like LeBron could. You remember, Skip, in games 5, 6, because the previous 4 games, Tony Parker was going bonkers. Spoelstra said, LeBron, you got Parker. Not only do I want you to neutralize him, but I still need you to give us 30. That's what he was capable of doing. You do remember in that overtime, Tim Duncan had a layup and LeBron blocked it, had a dunk and LeBron blocked it. Skip, we've never seen anything like LeBron. Not only can he play 1 through 5, he could guard 1 through 5. Jordan couldn't do that because you remember in his first finals, Magic Johnson put a triple-double on him. And then Phil Jackson put Scottie Pippen on him to neutralize him and slow him down. Skip, you need to stop this. LeBron is the GOAT, and we'll win the title this year, too.
Timeout. I'm glad you brought that up. My final point is, I dare anybody to go back and watch the replay of the final minute of Game 6 of the 2013 Finals and see what Tony Parker does to LeBron James. With under a minute to go, Tony Parker hits a 3 right in LeBron's grill. LeBron's got him man-to-man. Hits a 3, then comes, wait, then comes right down the next possession and does a spin move down the lane and makes the shot right in LeBron's face. Go watch it. I dare you. I dare you.
That was on Mario Chalmers.
No,
Don't
not.
do that.
It was LeBron.
And, hold up, Skip. What was he shooting from the floor? He was 6 of 21. 6 of 21. Is that good?
All I know is he did that in the final minute, and I thought I had won the game. I thought my Spurs had won yet another championship. I thought LeBron had melted down yet another time in a big game in the finals. And all I know is that Michael Jordan was the mentally toughest, clutchest player I ever watched in any sport, in any one-game situation, and that LeBron James can often be, for all of his all-world talent, he can be mentally weak in big games, and I just detailed all of the above. But, hey, we'll talk about this again, maybe later in the show. Who knows? I don't know. But next up, we got to go back to the GOAT of the NFL. No mercy. Let's turn up the heat even higher here on Undisputed. Over the weekend, ESPN's lead NFL analyst, Bill Barnwell, chose his top 9 NFL free agency pickups, and he gave only 1 A grade. That went to Tampa Bay for signing Tom Brady. So, Mr. Sharpe, are you ready to now admit that Tom Brady was the best free agent pickup by far?
Nope, hell no, because he wasn't, Skip. He's 43 years of age. I just want to know the situation is that a quarterback that was 27th in that was 19th in QBR, 27th in completion percentage, 27th in yards per attempt, and this was a great signing. Take Brady out the back. Are you happy? And the guy's 43. You see, because people cannot get past those 6 Super Bowls. But that's not what we're judging. We're judging his 2019 season. Skip, did you know that the Patriots defense gave up 17 points or more 5 times? Do you know what their record was? 0-5. But do you also know against the Eagles, the Cowboys, and who's the other team? There's one, and the Bills, they scored 17 or fewer, and they won those games. So let that sink in for just a second. Had the defense not been as great as it was, Tom Brady would have been worse than what his actual numbers were. All we think about, and that's the problem, is that when you try to critique Tom Brady, everybody goes to those 6 Super Bowls. But he said in his post, what you've done in the past does not matter. So if we judge him by 2019, Skip, what's the difference between him and Phillip Rivers? Phillip really turned the ball over. Phillip Rivers had a high completion percentage, had a high QBR. You see? Nobody mentioned that Phillip Rivers' offensive line was terrible, but all we do is make excuses. No, let me take that back. All you and others like yourself try to do is make excuses. Oh, his offensive line, he lost his center. He lost this guy. Oh, the defense wasn't very good in big situations. No. We don't make excuses for Phillip Rivers. We don't make excuses for any other quarterback. We've never made excuses for Peyton Manning like we make for Tom Brady. We've never made excuses for Joe Montana or any other historically great quarterback like we do for Tom Brady. We make excuses. His receivers aren't very good. His offensive line wasn't very good. His defense let him down. We have never made concessions for any other historically great quarterback like you and others do for Tom Brady. And I'm just trying to figure out why.
I have one question before I take the floor from you, Mr. Sharpe. Can you please tell me what happened to Phillip Rivers' team last year? Did they make the playoffs?
No, they did not. They did not make the playoffs.
No. Okay. Thank you very much. Tom Brady had what was a below average New England roster in position to win the 2 seed in the AFC. He had yet another 4th quarter game-winning drive against the Dolphins, final regular season game at Foxborough. He did 60 yards, 8 plays like he always does, touchdown pass to little James White, as we've often seen. And all of a sudden, it's 24-20 New England. And if the defense can stop Ryan Fitzpatrick from scoring a touchdown with 3.5 minutes left in the game, Tom Brady has that team in the 2 seed with a week off for a beat-up football team to try to get well, especially Julian Edelman, his only target, who, as you know, needed offseason shoulder surgery. He had cracked ribs. He had a bad knee. He had led the NFL in drops. And what happened? Belichick's defense that you continue to defend or give a pass to let Ryan Fitzpatrick go 80 yards in 13 plays with a touchdown pass to Mike Gesicki with 5 seconds left to win the game and knock Brady's team out of the 2 seed. How was that Brady's fault? Brady actually played very well last year, given the lack of quality around him, because it was pretty sorry. How do you explain that?
Easy. Skip. Them losing to the Dolphins at the end of the season knocked them out of the 2 seed. It didn't knock them out of the playoffs. What happened in the playoffs? They gave up 14 points. Belichick defense didn't allow a point in the second half. Tom Brady, on cue. Your turn. Now what did he do, Skip?
Well, he ran into the hottest team in the playoffs, the Tennessee Titans, who proceeded to go knock Baltimore out of the playoffs and proceeded to go up, 17-7 on Kansas City. Wasn't that the score? Yeah, the AFC Championship game. They're up 17-7. Okay, well, they're a hot team. They were rolling behind the big man running the football, Derrick Henry. So
you can't get hot against.
They got beat.
No, you can't get hot against the GOAT. That's the GOAT. You see, Skip, tell me this. And Skip, I don't really care to talk anymore. Tell me what does Coach Belichick defense has to do with Tom Brady being 19th in QBR, 27th in completion percentage, 27th in yards per attempt, and the second level stats. I want to go second level just one time. On target throws, not whether the ball is caught or not, on target throws. Only Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, Mason Rudolph was worse than Tom Brady. See, all these stats that we love to accentuate a guy, these stats are killing Tom Brady, but we overlook them. No, let me take that back. You and others like you overlook them, but I won't. Your turn.
Well, I guess the Bucs overlooked them because Jason Light, the GM, said on ESPN this morning that they broke down every game Brady played last year, and they saw no decline in arm talent. Jason Light also said, obviously, he's not a mover and shaker around the, he doesn't run with the football, but he never ran with the football, but he still has good pocket feet. And Jason Light concluded that they've signed him for 2 years at the all-time steal price of $25 million, and they're hoping he can play beyond 2 more years. So to me, when I think about a team called the Succaneers over the last 10, you can even go back 20 years, having any chance to get the GOAT is just preposterous to me. When I first heard the rumors, 2 weeks ago that, hey, maybe Tampa Bay is actually in the Derby here, I laughed out loud. I scoffed. I shrugged. Yeah, right. The Succaneers. There's no way. The Succaneers are the worst team in all of sports in career winning percentage. So Tom Brady to choose them, it's like the all-time steal at $25 million. And I'm going to remind you, people say, well, he doesn't have the arm strength. Baloney. It's the same as it always was, because on passes of 20 or more yards last year into tight windows, Tom Brady was tied for first in the league at 41% completions. He had 43% overall on 20-yard or more passes, which was 7th in the league, which is still pretty good. But his receivers as a group were dead last in the NFL in separation last year. And his tight ends, post Gronkowski, in the wake of Gronkowski, they were the worst in productivity of any unit of tight ends in the whole league. So you took away Gronk. He had AB for a minute, and he was gone. And Belichick cut Josh Gordon. He's gone. And N'Keal Harry was on IR for the first 8 games and then never figured it out over the last 8 games as a rookie. What do you – he's throwing to nobody. It's Julian Edelman or bust. And all of a sudden, you give him 4 stud receivers, 2 Pro Bowlers, and 2 tight ends? My goodness. This is the steal of any century.
Well, think about this, Skip. Let this sink in for a second. Now, they were 3rd in scoring. Jameis Winston threw for almost 5,200 yards. So are they going to be pulling him, or is he going to pull them?
Well, it's hard to pull any quarterback unless you tell me Brady's the game manager, and he's not even close to being a game manager, because they're going to go bombs away. You watch the deep balls that he throws next year.
Hold on, Skip Bayless.
Right back in your seat.
You do realize, in order for you to push the ball down the field, you've got to hold on to the ball. You know what happens when you hold on to the ball. Guy put helmets in said player's back. Guy hit player in said chest. That's what happens when you push the ball down the field. You can't get biscuits with checking the ball down to James White, to throwing shallow crosses to Julian Edelman. That's not how they play. That's not BA's offense. You do realize BA quarterback takes punishment. Check Carson Palmer. Check Big Ben when BA went.
Okay, but again, BA will go with the checkdowns all day if you'll give him checkdowns. And I told you, beware of little Scotty Miller, little 175-pound Scotty Miller out of the slot. He was a rookie last year out of Bowling Green, and he can fly. He's got track speed, and watch Brady turn him into something of an Edelman or maybe an Amendola. Watch what happens. So all of a sudden, Tom Brady's got a pretty good offensive line. It was pretty good. It protected Jameis pretty well, but you can't hang on to the ball as long as Jameis did. Brady never hangs on to the ball like that. Jameis turned the ball over 35. Go ahead.
How do you push? I just want to know, how do you push the ball down the field by getting the ball out of your hand quick? In order for you to throw deep, it takes 7 steps. It takes 5 steps, not the 3 steps.
Okay. As Brady said the other day, and he nailed it, the essence of playing quarterback is taking the man who's open. If he's open deep, you throw it deep. If it's mid-range, if it's short, if it's inside, if it's outside, he's the master of taking whatever you give him open. He will find nothing but open receivers this year after he couldn't find one last year. And I'm going to remind everybody again, Jameis turned it over 35 times. That was 12 more than any other quarterback in the whole National Football League. 35 turnovers. Brady turned it over for a bad team last year 9 times. 35-9. So if Brady only turns it over, let's say 9 times this year, my goodness, think about how much better that offense is going to be, and think about how much better the defense is going to be. Because in inherited field position last year, the defense had the worst in the NFL because of Jameis Winston. I think that defense is underrated and pretty good, and it's going to look a whole lot better when Tom Brady is not turning the ball over in sudden change situations that wears out the defense physically as well as mentally. So he's like a godsend for a team on the verge that's going to break through this year.
Skip, I'll give you that. While we should not confuse Jameis Winston with Mike Vick or Lamar Jackson, he was more mobile. He bought time, threw the ball down the field, and allowed Godwin, allowed Mike Evans to make plays. Is Brady going to be able to do that? Jameis was more mobile. I mean, we don't look at Jameis as being mobile. He kind of reminds me of the guy that was calling plays for him, Byron Leftwich. But he was more mobile and athletic and could get out of harm's way, something that Brady is not going to be able to do, especially at the ripe old age of 43. Skip, to push the ball down the field, you have to hold on to the ball. And bad things happen to old players when they hold on to the ball.
Shannon Sharpe. Tom Brady still has some of the best pocket feet in all of pro football. I'm talking about the little slide step, the little jab step here or there to avoid the pass rusher. He's brilliant at it. He has supremely high football IQ. You know it and I know it. And if you give him some receivers who can actually separate within 2 seconds or 3 seconds, he's going to find them quickly because he is the ultimate speed reader and get them the football. But Shannon, my point here is bigger than playing quarterback. What did Bruce Arians say the other day? Just as important to him is that Tom Brady is going to change their locker room culture. So what did Tom Brady ask for? Not money, because he took $25 million. Drew Brees in New Orleans took $25 million. It's just like chicken feed. It's just like cookie jar money for quarterbacks of that level of greatness. But they want to win. They want the cap to be wide enough that they can be surrounded with quality talent. So Tom Brady he asked for not money, but he asked for phone numbers. He first wanted his receivers' phone numbers. And over the weekend, Chris Godwin talked about how Tom Brady, the GOAT, called him and wanted to FaceTime with him. And what did they talk about during their FaceTime visit? Not ball, as he said. We didn't talk ball. We talked about getting to know each other. Tom interviewed Chris Godwin. What do you like? What do you like to do? What's your family situation? What do you like to do?
He tried to finagle Chris Godwin out of that number 12.
Oh, is he? Okay. I don't think that.
Yeah, you know what he's trying to do, Skip.
Pay him for that. He can pay him for that. I think Tom Brady.
But that's what it's going to take. Yes. Okay. A new Aston Martin. Since Tom Brady's the spokesman, Aston Martin.
Okay, fine. An Aston Martin, because I don't think Chris Godwin would even dare wear number 12 with the GOAT playing quarterback who's worn 12 most of his life, or at least his pro life. So, again, that's not an issue.
Chris Godwin says he's worn it since high school.
Okay, fine. I'm sure Chris Godwin's going to give up number 12. You know it, and I know it. So here you are trying to change the subject again because I've got you on the run. Tom Brady is already changing the culture. That's why he's so valuable. He'll get a hold of Mike Evans and Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard and little Scotty Miller, and he'll get inside their heads. What do you like? What don't you like? What routes do you like? They'll start to figure it out, and he will teach them how to win football games in ways Jameis could not teach them how to win football games. That's why he's so valuable, is because he changes everything.
What difference does it make what they like if they're not open? He says he's going to throw it to the guy that's open. So if it's open on a route that I don't like, what difference does that make? Skip, let me tell you what Tom Brady is. Tom Brady is one of these great singers that could hit that high note all the time and with great frequency. But as he starts to age, he can hit it, just not all the time. So there'll be a time one of these nights, Skip Bayless, one of these singers they hit, they go way up there, probably 5, 6, 7 octaves. But he can't do that with the consistency that he once could. And that's what Tom Brady is, Skip. That's what he is.
Okay, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. Did you see a decline last year in Tom Brady's arm talent, in his velocity or his accuracy? Did you see a decline?
I saw the decline in his pocket presence. He was starting to flinch, and Skip, the reaction time was not what it once was. That's what I see. He's not pushing the ball down the field with the level of consistency that we're used to seeing Tom Brady. Now, granted, their offense in New England, Skip, is all about, the intermediate stuff, in between the numbers, in between the hash. Very seldom do they throw the ball down the field. And that's why you get the high completion percentage, Skip, because people are not expecting it. And that's what I'm saying. A guy that shoots 50 threes as opposed to shooting 500 threes, the guy that shoots 50 is probably going to have a higher completion percentage than the guy that shoots 500. But you'll see. And you know what? I'm not one of these guys that, Skip, I told y'all, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm not that guy. But Skip, at 43, going to a new system where it's totally different than what you're used to is a big change.
It'll be a huge change. And Tom Brady's going to change that whole culture of the whole Bucs Nation mindset. And all I know is that Fox Bet had Tampa Bay at 40-1 to win the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, the Bucs, the Succaneers, have vaulted all the way to 18-1, which is tied with the Eagles for 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl. And I will predict that will just get better and better as we approach next football season.
No mercy.
Time out. Stop the presses. Maybe it isn't yet time to shovel dirt on the 2020 Dallas Cowboys just yet. Pro Football Focus ranks them in the top 10 of free agent acquisitions. So Shannon Sharpe, are you getting nervous?
Absolutely not. When you said they're ranked, that means they're one of the stinkiest teams. Because all I want to know, Skip, Dontari Poe, this signing tells me that they're moving towards a 3-4 defense because he's a nose tackle. Okay, you lost Byron Jones. Is Dontari Poe, can he play corner? Oh, I didn't think so. You lost Robert Quinn. Okay, where you going to get those sacks from? You lost Randall Cobb. Who's replacing that? You lost Travis Frederick. So in other words, I just got my car repossessed. And you buy me, you get me some soup, you get me chips and a soft drink. What the hell that got to do with my car? I need somewhere to get from point A to point B. You lost all these guys and you signed a kicker. You already had one. Now, I get it. Zuerlein did not have his customary year. He's normally money. He struggled. Maybe it was because of injuries. But you do got Bones, Fossil, who's the special teams coach, who's the guru in Dallas now. So maybe that he will get back on track. He has tremendous leg. He's not Tucker. He doesn't have that kind of leg with that kind of accuracy like Tucker of Baltimore, but he's a very good kicker. I'm looking at what you've gotten. What have you got to replace what you lost? I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the Byron Jones replacement and the Randall Cobb and the Quinn and the Frederick. Where are those? But all those signings that you just signed, Skip, of the Dontari Poe and the Zuerlein and this one, those are appetizers. You know what this is. This is all about that entree. Dak Prescott. And until you get him signed, sealed, and delivered, nothing else matters. Because it looks like that exclusive tag is under $30 million now. And you and I both know Dak ain't playing for under no $30 million. So something goes this whole plan coming together right nicely. Yeah, they're playing coming together right nicely. Right nicely.
Good. Okay, my turn. Let's start with the latest acquisition, which was Greg the Leg, as in Greg Zuerlein. I fell off my chair on Friday afternoon that the Cowboys had gone out and gotten a guy who was a top 5 kicker until last year. I give it to you. He had a bad year by his standards, but he was a top 5 kicker, and he's definitely got like a top 2 leg. And all of a sudden, they had just re-signed Kai Forbath, who I thought was pretty good the last couple of games last year. And they had an opening, an opportunity to say, let's go upgrade even more, because as you talked about, John Fossil, Bones Fossil, says, hey, I love this kid, and I can get him back on track this year in Dallas. He just needs a change of scenery. Shannon Sharpe, I'm going to remind you that a guy I used to call Brett the Fret, as in Brett Maher, last year was by any measure the worst kicker in all of football. By any measure, the worst kicker in football, because even from the 40 to the 49, which last year, the average for NFL kickers from 40 to 49 was almost 75%. My guy, Brett the Fret, went 1 for 5. At one stretch, he missed 10 field goals in 11 weeks. He missed 2 field goals, as you recall, against the Packers. And if he hadn't missed the last one, at least they would have had an onside kick for a desperation attempt at tying the score. Then he missed a field goal at the Jets when they lost by 2, as you recall. He missed a field goal against the Vikings when they wound up losing by 4. He missed 2 field goals against the Bills. He missed a field goal at Chicago. I could go on, but I can add it up for you by saying that if they had had a hot field goal kicker last year, I believe it would have been the difference in 10 and 6. They went 8 and 8. But if you give me a hot kicker, a guy who can make all 5 from 40 to 49, which is not a big ask, they just might have gone 10 and 6 last year, and we'd be having a whole different conversation. So you know how much I hate field goal kicking, because it has way too much impact on the scoreboard. But I also have told you, if I were an NFL owner, I'd pay whatever it took to get Adam Vinatieri, because it changes games and seasons, and they just went and got Legatron, Greg the Leg, and if he bounces back next year, he's going to be way, way better than Brett the Fret. And I could not believe that Coach Clapp, as in Jason Garrett, hung on to Brett the Fret all the way through all those losses, all the way through the Chicago game, before they finally said, okay, we've seen enough. Your thoughts?
Oh, my goodness. See, Skip, now you know good and well Jason Garrett didn't have that kind of pull. That was Jerry. Jerry didn't want to make any changes. And what was going on with Brett Maher, he can make field goals as long as there was no pressure. Skip, you remember he kicked a 62, 63-yarder right before the half? Yeah. There's no pressure on that. Yeah. But when we need those in the fourth quarter, or you need those late in the third quarter, that's when all of a sudden it was wide right, it was wide left, and sometimes the ball was barely getting over the offensive, over the line's head. Look, but you still, okay, I get Zuerlein. If he can return to form, he's an upgrade. But what have you done to replace what went out the door?
Okay, let's talk about that. They have made bargain basement deals for Dontari Poe, as you talked about. He's what, 300, and I don't know what he weighs, 350 maybe? And I'm not sure if they're going to mix and match 3-4-4-3, because they do have Gerald McCoy, who was another bargain basement signing. So now you have two strong elephants for the middle of that line, and maybe it will shore up the run defense next year so that DeMarcus Lawrence can get a little more quick start off the edge and not have to worry so much about getting gashed with the run. Maybe Randy Gregory will finally get reinstated. And I remind you, last time we saw him, would he have 4 sacks in 6 games? He can play off the edge. He can flash off the edge. And it sounds like he's got a shot under the new CBA to get reinstated, because, as you know, they're not suspending for positive marijuana tests anymore. So that could be very good news. And then, again, Byron Jones, I just never loved him because he never made plays on the ball. He had 2 interceptions in 5 years. So am I just losing sleep over him? Well, they re-signed Anthony Brown, so maybe he could start at corner, Jordan Lewis at the slot corner. They still got Awuzie, but maybe they draft a corner that could start for them. Maybe that'll be the first pick that they make in the first round. And then You know,
Well, man,
the reason they're... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Skip, I'll give you that. Byron Jones is not a guy that takes the ball away, but he still was their best secondary presence. Robert Quinn was their best defensive lineman. And you haven't replaced it.
Okay. He was their best pass rusher. I'll give you that. But the guy who should have been their best pass rusher was the $100 million man who did not live up last year. I don't know. If he gets his fire relit, we had him on Undisputed at the Super Bowl, he's a top 5 pass rusher. I got to see that next year. Maybe a coaching change. Maybe he'll have a new change of mindset with, under Mike Nolan. So
Mike McCarthy.
I don't know. He can be great. Yeah. So he could be great. And again, Jeff Heath, I never loved him. And they went out, bargain basement, steal of a deal for Clinton Dix. He was a McCarthy draft pick in Green Bay. I love him as a pass defender. He's never been great against the run, but will he be better than Jeff Heath against the pass? Yeah, he will be. So I'm starting to look at the defense as a little better than it was last year. Yeah?
Yeah, if he can regain the form, Skip, early in his career, because he was a Pro Bowl player. But for whatever reason, he lost confidence. He got injured. He has never been able to regain the early form that he displayed. Remember, Skip, I think he got traded. Didn't he get traded to Cleveland? He ended up in Chicago. And so now he's on, I think, his 4th team in 3 years. There's something going on here. Now, maybe, maybe a change of scenery, maybe being reunited with his former head coach, maybe that brings some stability in his life. But he has not been the same safety late in his career that he was early in his career.
Okay, now let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, they overpaid for Amari Cooper, but at least he's still a Dallas Cowboy, and Pro Football Focus is taking that into account. They kept Amari Cooper, maybe for too much money, but he's still a Cowboy. And they have kept, by hook or crook, Dak Prescott. He's still the starting quarterback for the Cowboys, as far as I know. And to your point about these, why not? Is he going to hold out for the whole year next year? Or
and
what?
There's no telling, Skip. There's no telling what we're capable of doing. Y'all want to play with it. Y'all want to get funny with the money. We're going to get funny with the time.
Well, here's what's not so funny about his money. The reason Dak Prescott, to me, has come back to the bargaining table is because it suddenly became clear that exclusive tag that they put on him is worth only $26.8 million right now because Roethlisberger and Kirk Cousins have renegotiated their deals, dropping the average salary. And all of a sudden, you know what's happening? That tag is falling. We thought it might be $33 million. Now it's $26.8. Maybe it'll go back up toward 28-ish before all is said and done. But all of a sudden, Dak's saying, wait a second, maybe I do need to take what Jerry's offering because next year's exclusive tag doesn't really pay me what I thought it might pay me next year. So I say that's advantage Jerry Jones. Thank you very much.
No, because Dak Prescott is saying, hold on, I just saw Ben Roethlisberger get 2 years, 3 years of guaranteed money, and they renegotiated and gave him more money. I saw Kirk Cousins make $56 million in 2 years. They renegotiate and gave him more money. I'm not coming back to the table for no little piddly 28 million, 27 million. No. You know what the price is, Jerry. 80 million fully guaranteed, 125 guaranteed. Come talk to me and Todd, and we'll see you at the bargaining table.
Well, he's back at the bargaining table, according to every report out of Dallas-Fort Worth. So once again, I think you're about to eat crow on that one. And I'm going to remind you one more time, Mr. Sharpe, Cowboys are 16-1 to win the Super Bowl in Fox Bet, as opposed to 18-1 to the Eagles. So Cowboys are favored above the Eagles in the Super Bowl odds. So I'm going to rest my case on that one. You want to have the last word here?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of wooden-head people that lose a lot of money betting on the Cowboys to get to and win the Super Bowl. And Vegas says, thank you, appreciate it.
No mercy.
Shannon Sharpe is going to love this topic because Clint Parks is becoming my favorite guy in all of sports. You may not know who Clint Parks is, but You should know he's a trainer for Kawhi Leonard and for Kyle Kuzma. And he's a trainer who is not afraid to take public shots at LeBron James. So this time, Clint Park says that when Kawhi was a junior in high school, he was invited up to LeBron's summer skills camp, as it's called, up in Akron, Ohio, but that Kawhi declined the invitation because, as Clint Park said, Kawhi told him, "I play real basketball." I'm going to say it again. Kawhi said, "I play real basketball." Wow, really? So, Shannon Sharpe, what do you think Kawhi Leonard meant by that?
Nothing. It sounds very profound now in hindsight. So let me get this right. Now, I'm trying to figure out why the hell LeBron would even invite him. The guy went to San Diego State. San Diego State guys that go to Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, Arizona, they get invited. Not guys that go to San Diego State. Texas, I'm confused. Kansas, San Diego State. See, it's easy to say. See, what I'm trying to understand. Now, I know Michael Jordan's trainer, Tim Grover. Tim Grover did not make a name by putting other players' name in his mouth while hyping up Michael Jordan. All he talked about what Michael did and how Michael trained. Hell, I don't even know LeBron's trainer by name, but I know he don't put other players' name in his mouth. Why you got to keep mentioning LeBron James? If you are who you say you are, why you got to talk about me? So let me get this right. Put it in context. Peyton Manning has a passing academy. Every year kids go down there, top quarterbacks go down there, and I guess other players also. So in other words, Peyton Manning invite a kid. Nah, I don't want to go down there because I play real quarterback. Really, Skip? Really? That sounds like some BS to me. Sounds like some BS to you too. But it sounds good. You like it because you like when people take shots at LeBron. Hey, have at it. If you said no, that's all fine and good too. But I don't necessarily believe it. And I'm trying to figure out why the hell LeBron would invite him. A guy that ends up going to San Diego State. You're supposed to be 5-star. Or at least 4, not 2-star. Stop this, man. Man, look here, Clint Park. Bro, let me give you some advice. I don't know how good a trainer you are, but you're with Kawhi, so hey, that's a pretty good bargaining chip on your resume. But you got to keep these other players' name out your mouth. Because you lose respect because what you're trying to do is that you're trying to outshine your star by taking shots from behind your star. Train Kawhi, get Kawhi where he needs to be great. But you keep mentioning LeBron. LeBron ain't studying you. Why is that man's name constantly in your dentures?
So, quick point of order. I also know Tim Grover, and I think I know him a lot better than you know him because I covered Michael Jordan in Chicago when I got to know the great Tim Grover, who is the best at what he does. And you make a fair point. Why does Clint Parks keep posting about LeBron? There's something operating here that he is getting from his number one client, maybe even his number 2 client, Kuzma, but his number 1 client is Kawhi Leonard. And I'm pretty sure that Kawhi is not a huge fan of LeBron James. And I'm pretty sure that even as a high school junior, he was not a huge fan of LeBron James. And to your point, LeBron would invite at that point all the top upcoming high school juniors as they went to their senior year and a lot of the top college kids as they were approaching, obviously, pro basketball and have the big skills camp up in Akron. No problem with that. Now, this is back in 2008. So LeBron still wasn't LeBron. He'd lost the one finals to the Spurs, but he was still acknowledged as one of the best players in pro basketball, if not the best player. But I believe that Kawhi was already in the mode of, I don't want to go up there and have to kiss his you-know-what. I don't want to have to pay homage to him, to sort of kneel in the presence of the great LeBron James, because it's been written about repeatedly. Kawhi Leonard was a huge Michael Jordan fan. Kawhi Leonard, as I read one story last year during the finals, would love, even after practice in high school, after high school games, he'd go straight to his locker and look on his phone at Michael Jordan clips and highlights. to see how Michael did it and some of the great plays Michael made, because Kawhi obviously was modeling and tailoring his game after Jordan's game, not after LeBron's game. And the quote about I play real basketball is about playing games. It's not, you try to make the analogy, what if Peyton said, I play real quarterback? That's not the quote. Peyton would have said, if it were in Peyton's heart to say this, I play real games. I don't want to play skills games. I don't want to play competition games. It's different at quarterback. But as a basketball player, Kawhi's saying, I don't need to do drills with other kids who are really good. I just need to play basketball. I'm going to get better working on my moves in real games, even pickup games, but certainly in real games in high school and then in college at San Diego State. Go ahead.
Skip, but let me ask you a question. When they have the McDonald's All-American and they have the Jordan Classic, what the hell do you think those kids do up there?
What they do? I don't know what they do. They play basketball. Yeah. They play a real game.
They have skills. Thank you. They're going to play real games. You don't think they play real games? You don't think they play? They don't. So in other words, they don't play no games. Though there's no 5-on-5, no shirt skins, no blues white, no black red. There's none of that going on. All you do is dribbling the basketball, vertical jump, and going through a cone. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I don't know what you're saying. At the McDonald's game, they play a real game. Is that what you're saying?
No, Skip. I'm saying, so you go to these academies, I can assure you the top players play one-on-one. They play 5-on-5.
Okay.
Kawhi made it seem like all they're going to do is vertical jump and dribble the ball through a cone and shoot and dribble. No, that's not what they do. That's not what they do. I can assure you, when you go to Peyton Manning's passing academy, yes, they put you through drills, but you play 7-on-7.
Is that a real game? Not really. Is there a pass rush?
Skip,
no.
Stop.
Do you hit each other?
Skip,
no.
Stop it.
Okay, well, you don't. It's not real football.
It's
not real football. That's a different.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's a different art form playing quarterback than playing basketball. So here's where Kawhi Leonard has.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's where Kawhi Leonard has backed up what. Yeah, he's backed up what he had to say to Clint Parks about why I didn't go to LeBron's camp. Help me out here. Has Kawhi Leonard ever participated in any event on All-Star Saturday night? Remember, we used to have the shooting stars, and then it was the skills competition, obviously the three-point shootout, and the dunk contest. Has Kawhi Leonard participated in any of those skills competitions ever on All-Star Saturday night? Ever?
No. Has LeBron? You remember you mad at LeBron because he won't participate in the dunk contest. No, but you're mad at LeBron because he won't participate in the dunk contest. Well, why won't Kawhi do it? Why didn't Kawhi do it?
Okay, at least he dug in early, according to Clint Parks, and said, I don't do skills competition. I play basketball. So when Kawhi was asked to play in the Future Stars games, and that was back in 2012 and 2013, he was going to play in 2012 and right on schedule, as you might guess.
Got hurt.
He had a strained right calf. Yeah, he had a calf. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
He might have been load managing that night. But the next year, in 2013, his sophomore year in the NBA, he played on Team Chuck against Team Shaq, and Team Chuck won the game going away, and Kawhi played and scored 20 points in that game. Not bad. So at least he played in a real basketball all-star game.
That wasn't no real game.
Okay, it wasn't
that ain't no real game.
It's a real basketball game. No. Okay, well,
hold on.
It's called basketball.
Well, help me understand.
5-on-5 basketball.
So you say this. Hold up. His sophomore year, you said he played in the Chuck. And who was the Chuck and who? Shaq?
Shaq. Yeah.
Why did he play in the real game? Because LeBron's sophomore year, guess what he played? He played with the big boy.
Okay.
He played with the big boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was the year that Kawhi's team had LeBron's team down 3-2 going to Game 6 of the NBA Finals. And unfortunately, baby Kawhi did miss a free throw in that game, late in the game, that could have won the game.
Baby Kawhi.
But I never quite forgave him for that or for quitting on my Spurs, but that's a whole nother issue.
Can you help me, Skip? What happened? You do realize, like, in Game 6 and Game 7, Kawhi had, like, 16 rebounds in one and 14 in another. What happened to that Kawhi? What happened to that Kawhi, Skip?
I don't know.
The guy that could grab those rebounds. Whoa, wait a minute. Huh? So now he's just one-dimensional. He just score. He can't stop anybody. Because you remember what Jason Tatum did to him. You remember what LeBron did to him. So now all he does is score. He can't facilitate. He doesn't rebound. Not like he did when he was younger. You remember game 6 and 7? He had 16 rebounds in one game. I think he had 12, 14 in the other. What happened to that Kawhi?
He just does whatever's necessary.
The guys had 2 games.
Whatever's necessary to win the game. Yep. Yeah, and he outplayed LeBron even this year in the game that the Clippers lost.
No, he
did.
Well, Skip,
outplayed him every game.
Skip,
every time they were matched up head-to-head, Kawhi won more of the matchups.
Skip, help me understand this. You said Kawhi will do whatever it takes to win. When LeBron does whatever it takes to win, you criticize that. Why is that?
Okay, well, we're not talking about LeBron. We're talking about Kawhi. And I'm going to finish this off by saying Clint Parks also posted after the Christmas Day Clippers-Lakers game. I just want to remind everybody of this for everybody's edification, that he posted, watching Kawhi highlights from yesterday, nobody wants to speak on how sharp his skill set is compared to LeBron's. It's clear who's really in the lab and who isn't. Let me hear the excuses. I'm on vacation. I got nothing but time. I'm sure he heard a billion excuses from the billions out there of LeBron, blind witnesses. You can have the last word if you want.
Why didn't he post after the game 3? The last time they played, where was that post? I'm looking for Quinn. You know what? I'm finna try to find him on IG, and I'm gonna see if he made a post. Because I'm trying to figure out why would he make a post on Christmas and he wouldn't make one in game 3. So what's his handle? I need to find his handle because I'm gonna see if he made a post. Because I don't follow him. I want to start following him because I want to get some of these old good posts he be making. Yeah, because LeBron cooked Kawhi.
Well, he didn't cook him. I gave you the stats. I don't have time to read them right now. But every time they were head-to-head, LeBron lost to Kawhi. Kawhi got the better of him in every head-to-head matchup. I'm sorry.
No mercy.
Yesterday, Sunday afternoon, Tom Brady was watching a replay of Super Bowl 51 and posted a picture of himself watching that game as he watched on Fox, on Big Fox National, a replay of Super Bowl 51 as he watched his own team, the Patriots, rally historically from 28-3 down late in the third quarter. And as they pulled it off, Brady continued to post on Instagram sort of emotion emojis and reaction, and he had a blast watching that Super Bowl on Fox. So did I. Shannon Sharpe, in hindsight, as we look back at that epic comeback and epic collapse, does Brady and do the Patriots deserve credit for it, or does Kyle Shanahan deserve the blame for it?
Well, Skip, they deserve credit for winning the game, but the Falcons lost this game. Skip, you cannot run the ball the same amount of times in the second half up 28-3 as the team that's down 28-3 does. They ran the ball 9 times in the second half after being up, and they ran the ball 5 times on the first 2 drives, 4 times over the next 3 drives, Skip. And then on the final possession, think about this. After being up 28-3, Skip, they go 3 and out. Matt Ryan fumbles on 3rd and 1. 1st and 10 at the 22 with 4:40 left. Get a field goal, the ball game's over. They go run, sack, penalty, and we all know what happened after that. Now, this is what Skip Bayless told us a little over a month ago. Skip said the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo lost the game. It wasn't that Patrick Mahomes boy and the Chiefs came back from 2010. They lost the game. Now, that's the same offensive coordinator calling plays for the 49ers that lost, that was calling for the Atlanta Falcons that lost. So by Skip logic, the Falcons lost the game. It wasn't what Tom Brady and the Patriots did. It was what the Falcons didn't do. Right, Skip?
I have no idea what you just said. You completely lost me because we're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. We're talking about a quarterback that was barely allowed to throw the football in the first 2 playoff games, that got them to that Super Bowl. And then when they were desperate in the fourth quarter and had to throw the football, Garoppolo went 3 of 11 with an interception and obviously missed Emmanuel Sanders, who had broken wide open on a deep route at the goal line and missed him by 7-8 yards on that throw? I'm sorry, Jimmy G finally
spit the bit for the 49ers, right on schedule, just as Kyle Shanahan probably would have secretly bet that he would have done, because they didn't want to get in that position. But if we look back at what Tom Brady, the GOAT, did in this Super Bowl 51, nobody wants to give Brady credit for this. Shannon Sharpe is the leader of the Brady haters, and they all try to sweep under their little carpet. Shannon's got some carpet up there, up on the hill in Bel Air in his palatial estate, but he's sweeping under his carpet what Tom Brady did once again in a fourth quarter and overtime. He threw for 246 yards. Most quarterbacks would take 246 for an entire Super Bowl, but in the fourth quarter and overtime, epic comeback, Brady throws for 246, but Shannon never brings that up because it hurts too much. It pains him too much to bring up 246 yards. So now let's look at what Atlanta did or didn't do down the stretch of that game. They were up 28-20 with 5:53 left, and they had the ball 1st and 10 at their 10-yard line. And what happened? Well, Kyle Shanahan didn't remember. What had happened the night before, Shannon Sharpe? You were there. In fact, you predicted this on Undisputed. Matt Ryan the night before was named NFL MVP. So they didn't have Jimmy G at quarterback. They had MVP at quarterback, right? You were there.
Right.
MVP Matt Ryan. Okay, so what do you do now if you're up 28-20? You dance with who brung you. You got there throwing the football all year. Let the MVP throw it, because that's what you do best. So on first down, he throws it to Devontae Freeman for 39 yards. Wow, that'll work. Then 2 plays later, he throws it to Julio for 27 yards. Pass. Is that good? Yeah, that's great. So now it's 1st and 10 down at the 22-yard line with 4:40 left. And he goes back to what he didn't do best, which is Devontae running the football. And it goes for -1 yards. And Kyle Shannon's thinking, what am I thinking? I can't run it here. I got to put the ball back in my MVP's hands. So what happens on 2nd down? Matt Ryan drops back and he holds the ball and he holds it too long, and Trey Flowers sacks him for -12. That's no good. That's not an MVP play. You got to throw the ball away and not take the sack when you're in field goal range.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, because he was doing what he did best, but he turned it into the worst. Next play, it's 3rd and 23 from the 35, still barely in field goal range, and Jake Matthews, who's a very good offensive lineman, gets called for a hold. Wow, really? Jake Matthews holding. Ups. Now, you are letting the MVP do what he does best, because you're looking at number 12 over on that other sideline. You don't want to give him the ball back. You want to play to win. You want to go for the throat, and you get a holding call. Sack, hold. And all of a sudden, it's 3rd and 33 from the 45, and now you got to throw it again, and he misses Taylor Gabriel. I have no problem with any of those play calls. I would have called the same plays myself. I have a problem with the MVP's execution of those plays. And again, I've told you before, I'm not the biggest Matt Ryan fan. I think that year was a little bit of a blip. And I think that year was partly, I'm going to give part of the credit to Kyle Shanahan for making Matt Ryan better that year than he deserved to look, for helping him win the MVP. So I'm going to give all the credit to Brady and none of the blame to Kyle Shanahan for doing exactly what he had been doing the whole year long.
Skip, but if you think about this, if you look at it like this, put this in perspective, is that now you got the ball at the 22-yard line. Matt Ryan has done his job. Kyle, you've done your job. Even if you run the ball 3 times into the line, make them burn their time out, kick the field goal, the ball game's over. Why do you feel, because that got you there throwing the ball, that you need to continue to throw the ball? You have to understand how this game is going to play out. Now, we're just trying to get out of here with the win. It doesn't seem, sometimes people get caught up. They want to blow the Patriots out. They want to beat them by 14. They want to beat them by 21. No. Now you play into their hands. You take unnecessary risk that you don't deserve, that you don't need to take. You're up 8. Run the ball 3 times. Make them call timeout. Bring your field goal kicker on to kick a 40-yard, 38, 40-yard field goal. Go up with 2 minutes left in the ball game by 11. And if Tom Brady can get 11 points in 2 minutes, now you got something. But you don't do what they did. And you know that. But see, also what you didn't mention, Skip, after they went up 28-3, what happened? How many more points did the Falcons score? So did Tom Brady sack the quarterback? Did Tom Brady force a fumble? Did Tom Brady D up? You didn't mention anything about Belichick's defense then. Oh, my bad. Only when they give up 40 points do you mention that.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'll give them some credit. I'll give them 25% of the credit. But 246 yards in the fourth quarter and overtime, because remember, after Atlanta went backwards, Tom Brady got the ball back, but it was clear down on his 9-yard line. And here he comes, and it took right away. It's 3rd and 10 from the 9, and he hits Chris Hogan for 16. In that drive, Tom Brady, this is the tying drive, he goes completions of 16, 11, 23, 20, 13, and 7, and then hits Danny Amendola for the clutch 2-point conversion to tie the game and send it to overtime. It was just extraordinary, and I'm glad that Tom Brady got to sit back, kick back wherever he was, and watch on Fox a replay of his own greatness and to post about it throughout the game, because that was fun.
Can you ask me this before we go? We talked about this earlier about when LeBron struggled and wins. All you mention is LeBron struggled never to win. Why don't you mention the struggle that Tom Brady had that put them in that 28-3 deficit? Because, see, all you want to talk about the 246 and the win. You don't mention the struggles, but LeBron gets the struggles mentioned, not the win. I'm just trying to figure out why. That's all. That's all. Nothing. That's it.
Well, I told you down the stretch of Game 6 in 2013 finals, LeBron was atrocious. He would have been the GOAT lowercase, like he would have gotten the blame for that game if not for Ray Allen. So it's simple as that.
No mercy.
And down the stretch we come here on Undisputed. ESPN is down to its final 4 in its fan vote for the greatest college basketball player ever. Semifinals now are Shaq versus Larry Bird and Magic versus Michael Jordan. So, Shannon Sharpe, who you got for greatest college player ever?
Skip, this is laughable. And you know this is laughable. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was Lou Alcindor then. I will not refer to him by that name. He gave that name up. Kareem, Skip, let this sink in. And I want people to understand what Kareem did. Kareem was 3-0. He won 3 national titles. He was 3 times most outstanding player. He was 3 times National Player of the Year. Kareem lost 1 game. He lost that in the Astrodome to Elvin Hayes' Houston Cougars team. They came back and beat that Cougars team. They won and came back and beat them, Skip, by 32.
They did.
Kareem lost 1 game. Now, I'm not saying he's the most important, because that's a tie between Bird and Magic. Because what they did in 79, Skip, changed the landscape of the March Madness in the Final Four. It was never going to be the same. Until this day, it's still the most watched televised basketball game in NBA, and not in NBA history, in the history of the sport, Skip. And we talk about 2 college players, more than a finals, more than the Olympics, more than anything. Let that sink in. 2 college players did that. So Bird and Magic are most important. But the best college player of all time, Skip, is Kareem, and it's not even close. Kareem averaged 26 points, 15 rebounds, block shots. Remember, Skip, blocks was not an official stat back then. So who knows what he would have done. And remember this, Skip, freshmen also couldn't play. But Kareem's freshman team beat the UCLA team that won the national championship. They scrimmaged against them and beat them. Skip, I love Shaq. But Shaq never got past the Sweet 16. Even with Stanley Roberts and Chris Jackson, who later changed his name to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Skip, this is laughable. I love Shaq. But you can't base it on what the guy did in the NBA, Skip. We're talking about college. Skip, Christian Laettner had a better college career than basically everybody else that's in the Final Four. College, we're talking about college, not what they became. College. It's not even close. This is laughable.
Okay, I hear what you're saying about Kareem. I'm actually old enough, I got to watch Wilt Chamberlain play college basketball at Kansas, and it was the same impact where he was just unstoppable. And Kareem was right there with Wilt as a college basketball force. Shaq was in there somewhere, but to your point, Shaq couldn't win, and we're holding that against Shaq. But Shannon, you grew up a fan of one Larry Joe Bird. And I got to tell you, the harder I look at what Larry Bird did with an Indiana State team, Larry Bird went from French Lick, Indiana to Terre Haute, Indiana. And you know how I always joke about how Tom Brady would go out before games and pick 3 guys from Dorchester and say, you 3 guys, come down here and you're going to be my receivers. Well, Larry Bird basically picked 4 guys from Terre Haute and said, you guys come out here and let's go try to win the NCAA championship. And I've never seen anything like what Larry did. Now, he was a senior that year, but again, Carl Nix was a pretty good player, and he bounced around the NBA for 3 teams and averaged 7 points. But you've never heard of the other 3 guys who were in that starting lineup. No. And Larry Bird took them to 33-0. And when you look at what they did, they destroyed a Dave Bliss team at Oklahoma that I knew because they had wiped out Texas. They're one of the best shooting teams I've ever seen. And Bird wiped them out, wiped out Eddie Sutton's Arkansas team that featured Sidney Moncrief and Scott Hastings, and that DePaul team in the national semifinal that I knew pretty well, Mark Aguirre and company under Ray Meyer, beat them. And then he tried his darndest to beat Michigan State. But again, when Magic had Greg Kelser, who was a pretty good NBA player, along riding shotgun. And remember, Kelser in that game went 19-8-9. So it was hard for Larry to overcome that. But Shannon, it was 2 against 1. I'm going to nitpick here, but it was 2 against 1. But here's a nitpick. Remember, Kareem, as a sophomore and as a junior, had the 2 best guards in America in Lucius Allen and Mike Warren. And Lucius Allen was the 3rd overall pick in the draft. And Mike Warren would have played pro basketball, but he decided to become an actor, and he became a really good one, if you remember him on Hill Street Blues and many other things that he was in. Yeah, he was great in it.
I do.
Okay, then Kareem's senior year, he's got Sidney Wicks, who was the 2nd overall pick in the draft and became a 4-time All-Star in pro basketball, and Curtis Rowe, who was the 11th overall pick and an All-Star in the NBA. So, he did have, he had a lot of help at UCLA, and he was coached by the greatest coach ever, John Wooden. So,
I'll give you that. But let me ask you a question, Skip. If you take Kareem off that team, do you believe they win the national title? If you take those guys off the team, they still win the title. With Kareem, they're winning the title. Nobody was beating him, Skip. The guy lost 2 games. He lost 1 game in high school, 1 game in college.
Well, listen to the scores of their finals. They beat Dayton 79-64, then Carolina 78-55, and Purdue 92-72. So they wiped everybody out. But I will say in that first game, which I watched live that night from the Astrodome, he did lose to Elvin Hayes, and Kareem had a bad game as a junior against Elvin Hayes because he only scored 15 and shot 4 of 18 from the field. So a little glitch, just a little blemish on the college career there. He did get outplayed 1 time. So again, I'm going to give, I know what you're talking about, most important. Yeah, I got it. But most important or most valuable to one season, man, what Bird did was just off the charts. We've never seen anything like that. It's just hard to go that far with that little. And Larry Bird did so much with so little. Highly impressive.
But Skip, it was just 1 season. Because remember now, Skip, now he went from French Lick. He had a layover in Bloomington because he went to IU first.
He did.
And then he went to Indiana State.
Bobby Knight.
Right. It was never going to work with Bobby. It was never going to work with Bobby Knight. But Skip, you think about the totality, Skip. You lose 1 game in your college career, and you're National Player of the Year 3 times, and you're Most Outstanding Player 3 times with 3 national titles. Skip, and it's never going to be done again, Skip. There might be another undefeated team that loses in the finals, but there'll never be another Kareem what he accomplished. Never.
Okay. My final thought about this topic is I can't believe that LeBron isn't winning right now because he always wins everything, and he didn't even play college basketball.
No mercy.
Final topic. On IG Live over the weekend, Carmelo Anthony shared a story about how LeBron, on one of their banana boat crew vacations, saved Melo from drowning as he swam out into the ocean. Melo says that a strong current began to pull him out to sea, but that LeBron jumped off their boat, swam to him, grabbed him with one arm, and pulled him to safety with the other arm. Melo said on IG Live, "Yo, Bron, You saved my life that day. Yo, Shannon. What's your reaction to this story?
See, the biggest misconception in the world is that a goat can't swim. But goats can swim. You see, a lot of people think goats don't like water because goats have a odor, Skip, about them. People don't know that, but I grew up on a farm, know a thing or two about goats. And so that's what they say, man, you out there smelling like a goat because goats don't like water. That's the misconception. But the goat that we're talking about love water. Skip, you remember there was a TV show that used to come on every week. It was called Patrick Duffy, if I'm not mistaken, is the actor, the man from Atlantis. Well, what about the man from Akron? Because he could swim just like that. And he went and got Melo. And Melo thanked him. So goats can swim. The greatest ball player of all time, he might can take Michael Phelps in a race. I wouldn't bet against it.
Maybe.
Put money on that, Skip.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he should have pursued swimming because maybe he would have been beyond Michael Phelps. I don't know. I've never heard this story before, which is shocking to me because usually these kind of stories can end pretty badly because the rescuer goes out and the desperate, victim who's going under can pull the rescuer down with him. So for LeBron to be able to go out and with one arm hold Melo, what's Melo, 6'8", 240? And drag him back to the boat while swimming with one arm? God.
But see, Skip, that's where when you're a lifeguard, you have lifeguard skills, you have to come up from behind. Because yes, he's panicked. He's going to do anything to try to secure himself. So in the process of that, he's pushing you down. That's why you come up from behind, you grab him from the back, and you stroke your way back in. Your boy Shay could stroke too a little bit.
Okay, I got it.
You can't swim.
But again, maybe LeBron is a real-life cartoon superhero. Maybe he's just come to life. I don't know. I've never heard anything like this.
He's a real superhero.
All I wonder, Shannon,
he's a real superhero.
Yeah, why can't superheroes make their free throws late in close games? I don't understand that. If he can save Melo, but he can't save his team making clutch free throws. I thought he was a cartoon superhero.
This is a great story. Skip Bayless, this is a great story. This is about the GOAT saving Carmelo, and now you want to go to him, he can't make free throws. You see how you ruined it?
I wasn't trying to ruin it. I don't know. It seemed like this is, but it seems like it's kind of a crazy story that we've never heard of this before.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. Join us again at the same time tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports, one of one.